Hello and welcome to the Lost Pines Workshop. I'm JC Jensen. So today we're going to take a look at how to make a circle cutting jig for a router. Perhaps you want to make a circle, an outside circle or an inside circle, or in this case, a wheel. All right, so this is a 30-inch diameter wheel I made to go on a spinning wheel. You're familiar with what that is. I I joined together these pieces of oak. They were square wooden strips that I did a lap joint and pinned um, to create the outline in semi-square form. Then I used a template to rough cut the exterior and the interior to give me the shape. And then I put it on the lathe to create the grooves on the outside and this groove on the inside. There you can see it on here. Groove on the inside and balance it so that when it runs on the spinning wheel, it runs true as a wheel. All right, so how did I create it? How did I cut it initially with a router? Well, I created a jig. All right, you've heard me talk before about creating jigs. Jigs make our life easier. They allow us to cut the shapes and the patterns and or joints that we want accurately. All right, so this is half of my large, very large circle cutting jig. On the end here, my router will mount to this piece, right? So I have the center cut out for the guide, and the bit protrudes through the center. And then here are 3 holes that are countersunk so that I can attach the router directly to this piece. I take the base plate off of the router and mount it here. And then again, our bit goes through here. Next, what I've done, I'll slide it in here, is I created this slot that allows me to move this jig or this portion of the template in and out from the center of the circle, right? And I've annotated on here. So for this one, I'm going to be using a 1/2 inch bit with a 5/8 with the 5/8 guide on it, or the 5/8 bushing in the bottom of the base plate in here. Primarily, what the biggest concern here is the 1/2 inch bit. All right, and then on either side, for this side, to cut an inside radius here, I marked out where the edge of the bit needs to be, the outside edge of the bit needs to be in relation to give me the diameter that I want. So I've got 9, 10, all the way down to 24. So if I want a 24-inch radius or a 24-inch diameter, I'm coming all the way down here. And then I did the same thing on the other side. I laid it out. So if I want to cut the outside of the circle, down we go. Right on? So this mounts to, I've got a 4x8 sheet of plywood for this one. It's really large. And in the very center is, I have a bolt that sticks up. This sits down over the bolt. Then I've got this handy screw nut that locks or that secures it and allowing it to pivot from center. So now I simply take my workpiece and set it between on the plywood, but underneath my router piece here, or my guide, with the router on, and all I have to do is turn it on and drive this around the center and it cuts out my circle. That is a circle cutting template. So mine, one of them that I have is really large to cut this spinning wheel guy. But I make other ones for smaller patterns. My previous video, you see them over there on the wall, I created templates out of 1/4 inch MDF to cut 14-inch diameter circles, whatever, for perhaps a Lazy Susan or whatever you need to make a circle for. But I've created templates for it, utilizing a tool like this to create that template. Now with that template, I just use whatever size bit with a bushing in the base plate, and I can just follow that pattern. I'll show you. So I showed these in the What is a Router video prior to this one. So if I want to cut this shape with the 5/8 a 1/2 inch bit using a 5/8 bushing, the bushing rides on the edge of this and cuts the circle out of whatever material it is attached to. I simply secure this by screwing it in or double-sided tape onto the piece I want to cut. The same is true for this. All right, if I want to cut this one, I can attach this via screws or double-sided tape to my piece that I'm going to cut, and the guide bushing follows this pattern. But to make this jig, you got to start with one of these, and these are really easy to make. Some folks make them out of MDF. I would recommend a minimum, well, depending on your circle size, right? If you're doing really small circles, you can probably get away with 1/4 inch MDF. If you're going to do larger ones, you probably want a 1/2 inch MDF so you don't get a lot of flex as you're manipulating. Everything stays nice and flat. My really big one, the base is 3/4 ply, and this guy is just 1/2 inch. Could have used MDF, but plywood's what I had when I made it. So there you go, how to make it. Just take your time. Once you get the pattern here, just take the base plate off of your router, set your router on here, and you can just trace the holes. Drill your holes, use the appropriate screws to so you can attach this directly to your router. This shape here, really immaterial, whatever shape you need, but you need to be able to attach it to the center of your piece, right? I used a slot because I use this, for various sizes. Well, there you have it. I hope that helps. Happy cutting with your router and jigs and templates. It's great. That's all we got. So we'll see you down the road. Please hit the like button and consider subscribing. We'll see you down the road.